We're here at Cheekwood in the Ann and Monroe Carell Jr. Family Sculpture Trail. It has been newly renovated. It has lots of amazing new paths. There's been thousands of new native plant material added into it, from trees and shrubs to herbaceous perennials. And I'm here with Peter Grimaldi from Cheekwood. So I would say one of the biggest things that stands out to me is this path that we're on.
This is the beginning of the Boardwalk, and one of the primary goals of the renovation of the sculpture trail was to increase accessibility to and through the trail. I like to say that if design may be considered a solution to the problem, or to a problem, the first problem with the sculpture trail is people couldn't find it. And
Right.
then when they did find it, they had trouble finding their way along the trail. So we've plugged it in directly to the back of the Color Garden experience at the end of the arches, and literally paved a trail through the woods to share it with as many of our visitors as possible, those that are differently abled or just mom pushing a stroller. So 2 loops, Hickory Loop, Cedar Loop. The Hickory Loop is fully accessible by outdoor accessibility guidelines and paved and lit for a nighttime experience, which is really very special.
Wow, that's totally new. That adds a different aspect to it, that it's lit to night view. And I like these little kind of pods, kind of a gathering pod.
Yeah.
These are really nice.
Elevated seating platform, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know. There are benches along the trail for folks to sit down and take a break, but we did also want to suggest at least that, hey, maybe you should kind of take a longer break. You know, I kind of in the design process envisioned folks even laying down on this surface, and forest bathing is a thing now, apparently.
Okay.
You and I have been doing it our whole lives.
Who knew?
But it's new, and you can do that on the sculpture trail too.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
And I have to mention the piece behind us is kind of, I feel like, a Nashville favorite of the sculpture trail. Tell me a little bit about her.
Giant Lady Hair Crawling is a piece by Sophie Ryder, and my understanding, I'm the garden guy, I'm not the art guy, that as it is an anthropomorphized hair, you know, also a woman's feature, sort of celebrating the female form, which is cool.
Yeah.
But then also, you know, very much it was commissioned for the space in the woodland, so she's meant to appear as if she's crawling or moving through the forest, which, along with the other pieces, was the original intent of Monroe Carell Jr. And the curator at the time was not to put art on the trail, but to put art in the woodland and use the trail to allow people to find it as it's sort of nuanced into the forest. So
Okay.
It's not formulaic in the sense that here is a sculpture and you should stand here and you should look at it from this angle. You're meant to kind of happen upon the artwork as it's kind of woven into the fabric of the forest, enjoy it from different angles, enjoy it alongside all of the native plants, and it's really a very unique experience and a very unique display of outdoor contemporary sculpture.
Yeah, and you do feel, in a good way, you feel kind of isolated away from the city and, you know, all the hustle and bustle of the town. It's very peaceful. You know, we can hear the ponds in the background and all the birds, and it's really nice in here.
Absolutely, Philip. And Cheekwood, as you know, is bordered by the Warner Park system, which, per the original designer's, you know, early vision, makes it feel like Cheekwood is part of a much larger plot of land and even the forest. So yes, to your point, you're transported away from suburban Nashville and you're literally in the middle of thousands of acres of forest.
So I see a lot of newly planted things in here, from herbaceous perennials and ferns to all different kinds of trees. How many new trees have been planted in here?
So there are over 700 new trees and shrubs.
Wow.
So over 700 woody plants, over 80 new dogwoods.
Wow.
So Cheekwood has the nationally accredited Cornice collection, certified by the Plant Collections Network. And so I like to think you can look at the entire property, these new projects, in a couple of different ways. This one was obviously needed to support and and perpetuate the display of the sculpture on the sculpture trail, but it also presented a very unique collecting opportunity. So Cheekwood, just like the museum, collects plants, and we have a native plant collection. And so in contrast to some of the other projects, the Japanese garden, for example, is obviously going to feature some Asian, exotic plant material. Sculpture Trail is 100% native, and with just a few exceptions, no cultivars.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So it was meant to create as much diversity as possible within our native plant collection, and then also add to the already very well-established dogwood collection.
And there was even some flowering dogwood shrubs that I saw back over there.
Yep, this is one of the red stem dogwoods just over our shoulder that's flowering now. Cornus florida, just the straight species, which took me a while to get through to the designer and the landscape contractor.
I'm sure.
They said, well, some of these cultivars have improved disease resistance, and I said, no, I want 40 or 50 of just the hairiest, weirdest, gnarliest straight species Cornus florida you can find.
Sure.
So that's diversity within the species, even, right?
Right.
So that was exciting. There are at least 3 other dogwood species on the sculpture trail, including Cornus femina, which likes to be along with the amomum down by the stream, and Cornus drummondii, which is more of a multi-stemmed, shrubby, medium-sized tree.
Yeah. So lots and lots of new and interesting things to see here on the sculpture trail. It's a really neat space. Lots of new accessibility here too. That's great.
Absolutely. We think it's a major add to the value of the experience of coming out to Cheekwood.
Yeah, and the day-night viewing is a really amazing aspect also.
It's all of the lights are in the trees, so it has a moonlit feeling. It's very special, and I don't use that word very often.
Yeah. Well, if you get a chance, come out and take a look.
For inspiring garden tours, growing tips, and garden projects, visit our website at volunteergardener.org or on YouTube at the Volunteer Gardener channel, and like us on Facebook.